It's 4:30 in the morning, Istanbul, dark, cold, rainy. The perfect atmosphere to shoot this video. Because it's about Turkey and Greece relations. There are three subjects in this world about which I am absolutely reluctant to comment. I mean, I love the subjects as much as I like a colonic irrigation. And these subjects are Turkey and Armenia, the Cyprus conflict, and finally, the topic of today's video, Turkey-Greece relations. Why? Because I'm a Turk. As importantly, my paternal grandfather was chased out of Cyprus by Greek Cypriots. There are certain issues, I take pride in being objective and, clinically precise in very controversial subjects about Turkey. But there are certain issues on which it's almost impossible to be objective if you are from a certain country. And in this case, I'm both from Cyprus and Turkey. I'll still do my best. I'm shooting this video for two reasons. A, as I show here, because it's very topical. If you Google Turkey and Greece, you'll see something like this headline. Greece warns its allies that Turkey ought to be stopped, or Turkey, Mr. Erdogan, is going to stage an attack against the Greek-held Aegean islands, and it's going to turn into the Ukraine war. That's the biggest hogwash I've heard since Putin's nuclear war threat. Two, I'm doing this video because, if you check the commentary sections in a lot of my videos, apparently my audience wants it. So, here I go. This is about Turkey and Greece, and it tries to answer the question of, will there be a war in the Aegean? And again, I'm trying to be as fair as I can be, for Christ's sake, and believe me, after this video, I'm gonna get stinking drunk. Here is the disclosure. This is the viewpoint of a Turkish analyst. The audience is invited to get a second opinion from a Greek expert too. And I'm not a warmonger, believe me. To cut a long video short, and if you don't have time to watch the entire video, I don't know how to timestamp this. There shall never be a war between Turkey and Greece in the Aegean. Not in my lifetime, not in the lifetime of my grandchildren. And I'll tell you why. Because it's too damn expensive. Okay? Both Turkey and Greece are bankrupt countries. Greece owes to IMF and to EU rescue funds something like 2 times its GDP. According to the latest International Institute for Finance report, Turkey's total debt to GDP ratio is up to 160%. I mean, just check my videos. I'm anticipating that Turkish economy will not survive the winter, and there's going to be a currency crisis, balance of my payments crisis, etc., etc. And as you know from the Ukraine war, war is damn expensive. It's not something two small countries like Turkey and Greece can afford. Two, there is simply no chance of victory for either side with our puny navies, puny air force, and, land wars tend to be very expensive. Let me show you why it is impossible to win a war in the Aegean. Again, I'm going to try to tell this story in pictures. See, this is the political map of the Aegean, and it shows the Greece mainland and the Turkish mainland and the Greek islands spread across the Turkish coast of the Aegean. Now, you tell me how you conduct a war in these regions. I mean, Turkey can potentially invade Greek islands, but that's not going to do much for the war because Greece will simply attack Turkey from the mainland or use its rather superior air force to bomb Turkish positions on the the then occupied Greek islands, and it can cause significant damage to Turkey's industrial centers here. Turkey can do the same to Greece. So it's an unwinnable war, and it will never happen. Um, from a practical viewpoint, I'm 61 years old. Since Turkish liberation, or from the Greek viewpoint, occupation of Cyprus, every year I have read a war in Aegean story. It never happened. Ankara and Athens are experts at conflict management and one-upmanship. This is another situation where tensions in Aegean have flared up because of Turkish provocations or Greek aggression, depending on which side of the Aegean you live on. Why now? Well, several reasons. The most important, both Greece and Turkey have elections in 2023. That's the perfect time to ramp up jingoism in the Aegean or in Cyprus for that matter. Two, Turkey is in dire straits. I mean, the Greek economy is probably not the best performing economy in the world, but compared to Turkish economy, they live in heaven. Turkey is potentially facing a balance of payments crises, potential sanctions from the United States for allegedly breaking sanctions on Russia. And these are usually the times when your nemesis goes on the offensive against you. You're already against the ropes, and it's like the referee coming in and punching you, sucker punching you from the side, and then declaring that you are knocked out. By the way, I don't blame Greece. I mean, Turkey, I'm sure, does the same thing or will the same thing as the opportunity arises. A more practical reason is Turkey's air force is aging rapidly. We have been kicked out of the F-35 program because of buying S-400 Russian-made missiles, and the American Congress, slapped CAATSA sanctions on us. And our F-16 fleet is aging. It needs to be upgraded. So Turkey made a request to the United States to buy renewed versions or upgrade kits, which is being held up by the Congress for a variety of reasons, one of which is because the pro-Greek lobby in the Congress is much bigger than the pro-Turkish lobby. I don't think there is a pro-Turkish lobby in the American Congress or in any of the European countries at this point. And the Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis is buying Rafaelis and wants to buy F-35s. If Turkey's request to upgrade its F-16 fleet is, denied, and Greece continues to add new fourth or fifth generation jet fighters to its fleet, obviously it's going to have an air superiority against Turkey. I think Turkey has a slight naval superiority and has a armed drone superiority. So if the Greeks get the upper hand in the air, that would sort of balance the situation. And I think this is mainly the reason for the conflict. But the real reason for the conflict is the historic baggage that the two countries are carrying. And I want to spend some time in this video not on what's going to happen tomorrow, but on why these two countries hate each other so much. By the way, the hatred is from a political perspective. I think Turks and Greeks get along very well because, we pretty much share the same culture, same songs, same food. We have the same predisposition. I enrolled in Rensselaer Polytechnics Institute in 1986. Our Indian advisor, I forgot the gentleman's name, told me my office mate is going to be a Greek dude named Nicholas Adamou. I said, fine, I got no problems with it. He got no problems with it. In fact, Nick became my best friend, and for 4 years, we hang out in Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York, as well as just drinking and eating together. And I think this applies to a lot of Turks who met Greeks and vice versa. There are millions of Greek tourists in Turkey, and most Turks like to spend their summer in the Greek islands, in the Aegean, rather than at the Turkish coast, because fish and seafood is cheaper, and hospitality is better. So why this insane animosity, which borders on war, almost every year? Well, I'm sure I can trace back this story to the 15th century, but let's start with this picture. This is the 40th year of Fatih the Conqueror, the Ottoman Emperor, conquering the then Constantinople, the capital of the great Byzantine Empire, and the year is 1453. That's, you know, Byzantine Empire has been around for 1,000 years, and Turkey, Ottomans ended it. I think there's a legitimate reason for Greeks to hold a grudge against Turkey. Greek lands have been under Ottoman occupation until mid 18th, 19th century. Then they liberated, and then there were Balkan Wars, where the Muslim Turkish minority was kicked out of the Balkans by Orthodox Christian nations. A lot of atrocities on both sides, and the second most important reason is, of course, the Turkey Greek war during the. Okay, just a second, I'll find this. I will find this. Again, Okay, this is the second most important reason of the historical animosity. After the First World War, Allied forces occupied most of the Asia Minor, what's left of the Ottoman Empire, and Greeks thought they could, get back at their old enemies, the Ottoman Empire, by demanding and then occupying most of the western coast and the western interior Anatolia. Needless to say, there were atrocities on both sides, Greek gangs killing Turkish villagers and vice versa. But the sad part of the story is, at the end of the war, the then Greek president Venizelos and our founding father Ataturk have become great friends, and they decided in their infinite wisdom to swap populations. So up to 1.5 million Greek Orthodox Christians were sent to Greece in return for roughly 500,000 Muslim Turks in Greece proper. And, obviously nobody likes to be kicked out of their lands just because two presidents decided it was a good idea. And the third reason for, the traditional historic animosity is Cyprus. This is a map of Cyprus. It's a political map. If you look at this gray line here, it's currently divided by the runaway, the renegade Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and the world recognized Cyprus Republic, which is actually what Turks call the Greek Cypriots. In 1974, in response to a Greek Cypriot military coup, Turkish forces occupied or liberated the northern portion of the island where most of the Turks lived, but needless to say, there were atrocities on both sides, as it happens in every war. A lot of Greeks fled to the southern portion of the islands, and a lot of Turks fled to the northern portion, and as a result, Greeks occupied Turkish territory or properties in the south, and Turks have happily settled into Greeks' homes and property in the north. Obviously, this is enough reason for for the animosity. Now, moving back to the current situation, and just to illustrate how different the narratives are between both countries, this is what uh, the Greek press headlines. This is from a YouTube video. Turkey wants the islands, meaning the 12 major Greek islands here. What do the Turks think? This is from a Turkish YouTube video. It says, alarm bells for war in the Aegean, and of course, it's talking about Greek aggression. So, really, no one knows who started this current round of tensions. Both nations accuse each other. But, it's not just jingoism. There's a valid reason. There's a legitimate conflict between sharing the waters of the Aegean. Let me show you the current political map of the Aegean Sea. Again, it's taking me some time. This is the current political map of the Aegean Sea. You see, the yellow is the Turkish mainland, and all across the Turkish shores are Greek islands. And Greece claims, which is in line by the international maritime law, by the way, that all of these islands have a continental shelf, that they have exclusive sovereignty in the waters against the island, and currently it's 6 miles. But look at how close these islands are to the Turkish mainland. Now, Greece says that actually these islands should have sovereignty over the waters up to 12 miles, which would essentially, I can't show it on the map, but for most of these major islands, that means the Turkish ships will not be able to sail into the Greek Sea. And this is shown in this map right here. 6 mil is Turkish word for 6 miles, and it shows the current, distribution of territorial waters in the Aegean. As you see, Turkey is already hemmed from sailing to the Mediterranean Sea because a lot of the Aegean is actually Greek property or Greek sovereign waters. Now, if Greece were to increase its territorial waters around its islands to 12 miles, the map would look like 12 mil on the right, meaning that Turkey will have really no access except these 2 points to the Aegean Sea. Obviously, this is not a situation that any nation or Turkey would accept. And, Turks go through these periods of intense negotiation and efforts at reconciliation, interrupted by tensions, dogfights, and naval not skirmishes, but accidents in the Aegean waters. Of course, in addition to the Aegean, you have the Cyprus conflict. I have a video on that, which has been around for 50 years. It hasn't been solved. I don't think it's going to be solved anytime in the near future. So, both countries are going to use every opportunity to undermine each other to get an advantage, but nothing will change. Greece will never increase its sovereign waters in the Aegean to 12 miles. Turkey will never invade Greek Aegean islands. But this is one of the most insane conflicts in the world, both with regards to Aegean and the Cyprus. Why? Because it's economically so damaging. I mean, look here. Look at this map. Actually, Turkey and Greece can benefit a lot in terms of tourism if they were to lift visa requirements against each other. Tourists would sail or fly to a Greek island and then visit the Turkish shore with its exquisite Greek historical antiquities as well as Roman. And of course, anyone who spends his or her summer in Turkey could easily fly or sail to Greek islands. I've sailed to one with a temporary visa. It's like 6 miles an hour. There's tremendous economic opportunities between Greece's rather high valued economy and Turkey's labor intensive economies. In terms of Cyprus, I didn't show it here, but if the Cyprus conflict were to end, an underwater, subterranean natural gas pipeline from Israel to Cyprus to Turkey would become a reality. I think the distance between Israel to Turkey is something like 200 miles. EU needs a lot of gas. Israel has the gas. Cyprus has offshore gas which can't be exploited because, Greek Cypriots want to collect all the revenues. Turks say, you're not going to do that. You have to give Turkish Cypriots a share of it. If these conflicts were to be resolved, Israel and Cyprus could, together pump something like 20, 30 billion cubic meters of natural gas to the Turkish mainland, which would immediately be pumped into the Turkish national grid called BOTAŞ, and it's already connected to the European grid from several viewpoints. Imagine the money that can be made from the exports and transport fees of 30 billion cubic meters of natural gas. So no matter where you look, you see opportunities for mutual economic gain. Will it ever happen? Again, I'm extremely skeptical because of the historical reasons. I mean, you talk to every Greek or every Turk, they have a horror story they heard from their grandmothers and grandfathers about how they were abused by Turks or Greeks, raped, plundered, kicked out of their houses, etc., etc. But the world is changing. Again, both countries are doing very poorly, and hopefully one day there would be a less nationalistic government in Turkey, that is, Erdogan will be replaced, more sensible people, and there will be peace talks, and at least some of these projects can come to fruition. I don't think we can solve the Aegean conflict, but I think rapprochement and a temporary solution to the Cyprus conflict is possible so that a natural gas pipeline will be built. Oh boy, I'm so glad that this video is over. I had to do it. It was an albatross around my neck. I had to shoot a video about the Turkey-Greece relationship, and I have done it. For good or worse, I have done it. I'm sure I'm going to catch a lot of flack in the comments, and obviously I deserve it because I went beyond my own red lines in shooting this video. Thank you very much for watching Real Turkey channel. If you like it, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, whatever, and share it with friends who are interested in Turkey. This is Atilla Yeşilala saying goodbye from dark, rainy, and cold Istanbul.